What is going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. In today's video, finally bringing you guys the full preparation video of the upcoming treasure map versus Shanks. Now, interestingly enough, this is not actually going to be against Shanks per se for the final boss. The actual final boss is going to be Backman. However, with this specific treasure map, we're having the same sort of structure as the Big Mom treasure map, where you are able to encounter an item at the start of your quest to initiate an intrusion battle against Shanks. So Shanks will invade you in the middle of your run, and you can go ahead and take him down. Now, in this video, we're going to be breaking down not only all of the stages, including Shanks, Backman, and all of the other mini bosses. We'll also talk about the actual character himself and why he's actually so good and worth farming. His character is absolutely amazing, and we'll also go through some useful characters and some teams that you might be able to build in order to go ahead and take on this treasure map. I will preemptively say though that this treasure map is not really the best in terms of the trusty character booster list. I feel like this time around they really missed the mark in terms of characters that should have been boosted. For an example, like there's lots of different paralysis and attack down stages in this particular treasure map, and I feel like they really didn't give us enough variety of characters to help deal with all of the different debuffs. But you guys will be seeing that in this video today, so hopefully you guys do go on to enjoy the video. But without further ado, let's get into the video. So getting to the breakdown of treasure map Shanks, here we have the treasure map Shanks, who is a Dex, Free Spirit, Cerebral character. At max level 99, when you go ahead and max his limit break, he has 3008 HP, 1652 attack, and 380 recovery. So overall, pretty sizable statistics in my personal opinion. Obviously, as a treasure map character, he has 60 cost, and he has 5 socket spots when you go ahead and max his limit break. Now, his captain effect will go ahead and boost Free Spirit and Cerebral characters' attack by 3 times when your health is above 99%, which is kind of interesting. You know, we haven't seen a captain like that in a very, very long time, but when you are below 99%, you will go ahead and have a 2.5 times attack boost to Free Spirit and Cerebral characters. Also, he will go ahead and recover 1.75 times his recovery at the end of each turn, and will go ahead and increase the matching orb rate of your Free Spirit and Cerebral characters. Now, as a captain, he is just okay. You know, comparing him to some of the other treasure map characters that we've had access to, I feel like he's definitely one of the more weaker captain effects. 3 times is actually pretty solid, and it would be nice if it was just a 3 times captain effect, but, you know, being below 99%, which is going to happen a lot of the time that you're going to be playing in dungeons, that's kind of a really bad thing, honestly. 2.5 times attack is quite mediocre. The fact that he does recover each turn is quite nice, means that if you do take a little bit of damage, you can go ahead and take some turns to recover some more health back. So obviously, because this character recovers based on his recovery stat, this is an optimal character to feed recovery cotton candies to, although in a lot of situations you're not going to be using this character as a captain anyway. As for Shanks' special ability, starting off at a 30 turn cooldown, going down to 23, and then obviously when you max his limit break, it goes all the way down to an 8 turn cooldown, will reduce the 1 turn of barriers and burn duration, which is fantastic. Also will boost the chance of you getting a matching slot for 1 turn, and will go ahead and shuffle all of your orbs around, including block orbs. And he'll also add 60 times his attack as tap timing bonus damage for a single turn. So because he adds tap timing bonus damage, obviously you want to be giving him plus 100 attack cotton candy, so cotton candies for this character obviously makes a lot of sense. 100 attack and 100 recovery. Now, in terms of what he does, right, he reduces a turn of barriers and burn duration, which is absolutely fantastic. Always nice to have that nice piece of utility there. Now, as for his orb shuffling, I really think it should have been, you know, shuffles away all non-matching orbs. I feel like that would have made him even better than what he already is. But one of the really cool things that I haven't got it listed here, but the cool thing about this character is when you have him at max limit break and you rainbow this character, he actually has double special activation, meaning that you can go ahead and use his special ability on multiple different rooms simultaneously, or you can go ahead and have his special activate twice in 1 turn, meaning you can reduce 2 turns of barriers and 2 turns of burn damage, which is honestly extremely awesome. Also, if you get a really bad orb shuffle, you can go ahead and activate his special ability to get another orb shuffle to try your chances to get some better matching orbs. So now that we've gone ahead and discussed Treasure Map Shanks, let's go ahead and start talking about each of these mini-boss dungeons. So the first one here is going to be against Lucky Roo. This is one of the mini-boss stages that you will encounter either in the middle of your Treasure Map run or at the Battle Rush stage. Now, Lucky Roo, he is a side character, and he starts off at 520,000 HP at Navigation Level 1, and every time you defeat a Navigation level, he will gain 52,000 health. Also, he starts off at 6,100 attack, gaining 305 damage per turn through Navigation levels. Now, his Pre-Emptive Attack will go ahead and buff all of the enemy's defense 300 times multiplier to the defense. So it is a blue shield that gets activated for 2 turns. Additionally, he will go ahead and shuffle all of your orbs into either G, block, or bomb orbs. So there are definite ways to get around that very, very easily, and we'll be discussing that in a minute. Also, at the end of the first turn and then every second turn after that, he's going to recall more reinforcements, more mob characters that you'll have to deal with. So ideally, you want to be trying to beating him as soon as possible so you do not have to deal with more mob characters. Now, as for some recommended units that I would suggest to you guys in order to actually beat this a lot easier, definitely a Treasure Map NL team is going to be one of your best bets in order for taking on this specific dungeon. Now, Treasure Map NL is fantastic because he is a Rainbow Captain. Also, dealing end of turn damage is going to be quite useful for actually getting to the final stage, and he also has an amazing special ability that can deal fixed damage up to over 500,000 damage, fixed damage with his special, so you can actually bypass the defensive mechanics that they actually activate, enabling you to kill them a lot easier. Now, you also could go ahead and run the raid boss Toadskii on your team, and the reason for that is because his special ability boosts driven characters attack, which Treasure Map NL is also a driven character, but he also goes ahead and does orb manipulation, changing G, block, and bomb orbs, which are the orbs that get given to you by Lucky Roo. So with the activation of Toadskii special, you can get a guaranteed full board of matching orbs, as well as a type boost, which is awesome. And also the new Fortnite Inuarashi that came out not that long ago is actually pretty solid as well, because his special ability removes 2 turns of the blue defensive shield. So that is great because you can remove the really high defense on the enemy, and it enables you to deal more damage. Moving on now to the next of these mini-bosses, we have Yasopp. Yasopp is a strength character, and he starts off at 600,000 HP, and he gains 60,000 per navigation level, starting off also at 4,500 attack and gaining 225 per nav level. His Pre-Emptive Attack will go ahead and give you a full board of empty orbs, as well as providing a 3-turn attack down and a 3-turn paralysis to your entire crew. When he gets below 50%, he's also going to go ahead and deal 2 times his attack as damage to your team. So, for example, navigation level 1, he has 4,500 attack, meaning at 50% or below, he's going to deal 9,000 damage to you. And obviously, because his attack will increase over time, his damage that he deals under 50% will also scale over time. So he's going to be dealing more and more damage once you get to higher navigation levels. Now, in terms of characters that are going to help you out in clearing the Yasopp stage, I do definitely believe that the Quick Whitebeard is going to be the best team to take this particular dungeon on. Alternatively, you can use Legend Shiki as well. Now, obviously, if you don't have Legend Shiki or Legend Whitebeard, you can go ahead and use a friend captain, one of those guys, and it's going to be just fine. Now, in terms of other characters that are going to help you out, Legend Shiki is great because he can give you a full board of matching orbs with the recovery orbs that he grants, because he treats it as beneficial as a captain, and Shiki gives you those matching orbs, which is really, really solid. Alternatively, you can actually go ahead and use the Log Ace that came out in the Anniversary Sugo Fest, because he changes empty orbs into matching orbs. So he's going to be obviously a really nice character to get a hold of. And then you also have to deal with attack down and paralysis. Now, what I was saying earlier is that, there's not that many units that reduce paralysis. So as I said, you can bring Wanda. The Fortnite Wanda is actually a solid character to bring. She removes 2 turns of paralysis. So she is an option, but I would highly suggest using Wanda on some different stages here. And I would honestly suggest, potentially tanking some hits on this stage, unless if you want to bring a non-boosted paralysis reducer. Really depends on your situation. But the Treasure Map Rare Recruit Garnfor from the previous Treasure Map is a very useful unit for this particular stage, as he does reduce 3 turns of attack down, enabling you to get around that much easier. The third boss is going to be Podcast the Ace. He's a quick character starting off at 680,000 HP, gaining 68,000 per nav level, and also starting off at 4200 attack, gaining 210 per navigation level. His Pre-Emptive Attack does a whole slew of things. First of all, gives himself a 3-turn Rainbow Shield damage reduction. He also has a 9-turn delay and toxic immunity. Also, for 3 turns, your Strength, Dex, Quick, and Tandem slots will count as negative to your entire team. Now, if you get Ace below 20%, he's going to deal 2 times his attack as damage to your team. Obviously, like what we said earlier with Yasop, same sort of thing. That will scale over time, dealing more and more damage per nav level. Additionally, with that damage, he also applies a 4-turn burn to your crew. This is slightly different to the burn that was received on Colosseum Daifuku, where this time, instead of receiving 2,000 damage per perfect, you will receive 3,000 damage per perfect. Now, one of the best teams for taking on the Ace boss is going to be Whitebeard and Mako, and the reason for that is, quite obviously, he gives you a full board of matching orbs with the Whitebeard and Mako, and none of the orbs that he gives you will be counted as negative, because Ace makes every single orb negative except for the ones that Whitebeard and Mako grant you with his special ability. So obviously Whitebeard and Mako are going to be quite optimal here. If you do not own Whitebeard and Mako, it is quite fine. You can definitely get away with utilizing a friend Whitebeard and Mako, and that is going to be quite fine. As additional sub characters that I would highly suggest, Raid Zora is fantastic because he guarantees the full removal of the % damage reduction that Ace has. Also, another character that's going to be quite useful here is going to be Raid Boss Lucci, and the reason for that is because Ace does not have a delay immunity, and he is the only character on the enemy side of the field, so you can get the guaranteed delay and 1.75 times conditional boost with Raid Lucci. So that is the character that I would suggest the most for taking on this particular Ace boss. Now, the last of these mini-bosses on the Battle Rush stage that we're going to be talking about is Mihawk. Mihawk is a Dex character, and he starts off at 720,000 HP, and he gains 72,000 per nav level. He definitely, out of all the bosses so far, he has the highest HP pool out of the mini-bosses. Now, he also has 4,000 attack at the start, and he gains 200 per navigation level. His Preemptive Strike will go ahead and give you a 4-turn Despair to both of your captains, as well as going ahead and rewinding all of your specials by 1 turn and cutting your health in half. Now, when Mihawk is completely defeated, he's going to revive with 25% of his HP and will also give himself a 1-turn resilience. So because of all these different things that actually get activated here, definitely Big Mom is going to be the best team for this fight. Obviously, if you don't have Big Mom, it's fine. You can go ahead and get away with a friend Big Mom. It is quite fine. Now, in terms of other characters that are going to be useful here, obviously, if you have max Despair sockets, it means you'll only need to bring a 1-turn Despair remover. There are plenty of characters that can provide this. One of the characters, though, that I would suggest would be the Rare Recruit Smoothie that came out in the Big Mom batch. Also, reducing 1 turn of resilience is going to help here, unless if you have Big Mom, because Big Mom is very, very awesome with her ability. When she is in the Rampage state, she can actually completely bypass the Enrage ability or the Resilience ability from Mihawk. However, you know, because Mihawk does Despair your captains, you're not really going to be getting the Enraged Captain effect from Big Mom, so I would definitely bring along a Resilience remover, which would be either the Rare Recruit Higuma that comes out in the Treasure Map Sugo Fest, or the Rare Recruit Daifuku that came out during the anniversary. Either of those 2 characters are going to be very, very useful in this fight. So now we get to finally talk about the final boss stage, which is going to be Ben Backman. Ben Backman on stage 6, so the mini-boss stage of Ben Backman, has 450,000 health at nav level 1, gaining 45,000 per nav level, and he starts off at 3,900 attack, gaining 195 per nav level. His Preemptive Strike is going to give you a 3-turn special bind, but this special bind is only for your bottom 4 characters. It does not bind your captains whatsoever. Also, he will go ahead and give you a 4-turn attack down status as well, and there is also an end of turn damage that is dealt to you, 4,000 damage at the end of each turn. So that is actually quite hefty, especially on higher nav levels. This specific mini-boss could be quite a problem. But not only do you have to deal with everything on stage 6, when you get to the final stage, Ben Backman, you'll go ahead and have to deal with a 1.1 million health boss, and he gains 101,000 health per nav level. So he is going to gain a lot of HP very, very quickly. Also, he has 4600 attack and he gains 230 damage per navigation level. His Preemptive Strike gives you a 3-turn full crew paralysis. He also has a full immunity for 98 turns, so you can't be delayed, cannot be poisoned, cannot have defense down, cannot be done anything to him. Also, for 6 turns, you get a lowered chain coefficient. So having a chain locker or a way to remove this coefficient reduction is going to be very, very vital for taking on Ben Backman. Also, his Preemptive Strike will give you a full board of negative orbs. Now, the thing about it is that yes, you get that full board of negative orbs. However, he does have an interrupt that whenever you activate any type of orb manipulation, he will bind your slots for 20 turns. So you literally cannot bring any orb manipulator whatsoever. You do have to rely on bringing characters that give you beneficial orbs from the orbs that you are given. Also, when he gets below 50%, he will enrage for 5 turns and also despair both of your captains for 7 turns. And below 20%, he does 50,000 fixed damage to your crew. So discussing different characters that are going to help you out for taking on the Ben Backman boss, I want to first shout out to Broke and Famous over on Justin's Discord, who actually go ahead and sent his own free-to-play team that actually kind of works. So this team utilizes a treasure map Mihawk friend captain and Zoro Sanji captains, and it's basically just a slasher team that utilizes a lot of different characters that enable you to get around all these different debuffs here. Now, one of the most important characters for this team is going to be definitely Colosseum Rayleigh. He's a very useful character here. He will go ahead and reduce special bind on your crew, which is fantastic, and also for a certain amount of turns, for 3 turns, he treats Dex, Int, and I think it is Psi Orbs. For free spirit characters will be beneficial, which is very, very nice to have. But the thing is that when you get to the final stage, what you want to be doing here is utilizing the captain swap of your Zoro and Sanji, because the captain swap of that character will go ahead and shuffle your orbs around. But the thing is that because of Rayleigh's special effect, you will get a higher chance of getting Dex, Int, and Psi orbs. Now, the thing is some people might ask, if you activate any type of orb shuffle, you're going to get the interrupt activated. The thing is that when you use a dual character, the dual character's switch effect does not activate enemies' special interrupts, which is something very, very important that a lot of people need to know. So you can use Whitebeard and Marco's ability to change, and you will not activate the interrupt. You can use Luffy and Ace, even though they're not boosted, and you can get some pretty cool things off with double characters. Obviously, you've got Wanda there to remove paralysis. You wouldn't really want to be using Fujitori's special ability. I guess you could use it on stage 6 to help you beat that stage a little bit easier. And Treasure Map Mihawk is fantastic, of course, because of the orb boost and the chain lock. So just to kind of reiterate, for stage 6, you need some sort of way to get rid of special bind and attack down. That's going to be really nice for taking on stage 6. And then for the final stage, having a paralysis reducer is also going to be very, very nice, because you don't want to be taking too much damage from Ben Backman. In order for taking on Ben Backman a lot easier, having some sort of beneficial orb enable is going to make this fight a little bit easier, and definitely the best character for that is Legend Brook. Like, this is like the only piece of content where Legend Brook is like the most optimal character, because he makes all type orbs beneficial to your crew for 2 turns, I believe. So the fact that you get a full board of negative orbs, Brook makes them all beneficial. Also, having a chain locker is very, very important here as well, because he goes ahead and gives you 6 turns of chain coefficient reduction. Having a chain locker basically nullifies that effect. And also, just kind of want to reiterate as well, do not manipulate your slots whatsoever on stage 7 to activate the special interrupt of Ben Backman. So now that we're finished with Ben Backman, let's go ahead and discuss the Intrusion Battle against Shanks. Now, before we discuss what he does, I want to reiterate this to you guys, the fact that with these Intrusion Battles, you can use any character whatsoever. You are not binded by the rules of the treasure map. You can use any character that you want, and you can still use them on the other battles during your run. So you can build whatever team that you want. Obviously, you want to be running more point boosters on your team, and that will enable you to build teams against Shanks much, much easier. Not like you have to have like a 6th team of booster characters, which is very, very nice. So you can build any team that you want against Shanks, and you can use those characters against all of the other bosses. So I just want to put that out there in case if some of you guys forgot. It makes team building much, much easier. But in terms of what Shanks does, he starts off at navigation level 1 with 1.4 million health, and he starts off with 7,000 attack. His Preemptive Strike will state that for your top row, they get their specials rewinded for 2 turns. And also, you get a crew paralysis for 3 turns. Now, if Shanks is left alive after the second turn, he's going to give you a strength, dex, and quick slot negative effect for 6 turns, and he also will apply a 99 turn full immunity, so you cannot delay him, reduce his defense, or apply any toxic effects. Also, when Shanks is finally defeated, he will revive with 25% of his max HP, and he'll apply a 5-turn enemy attack up. Not too sure how much of an attack up that's going to be, but I would assume it would be pretty sizable. Additionally, he has 5-turn resilience. So, discussing characters that are going to enable you to take on the Shanks boss, Big Mom is one of the best characters that comes to mind straight away, because not only does she get really strong type advantage against Shanks, but she also enables you to go ahead and bypass the resilience on the revive, because with her enraged effect you can completely bypass like any defensive effect whatsoever, including resilience, which is fantastic. So even if you don't have your own Big Mom, the free-to-play team that is suggested here, it actually deals so much goddamn damage and will be pretty easy to build and enable you to clear Shanks for a very, very long time, because you have a 20% health cutter with Opera, you've got Wanda to reduce turns of paralysis, Legend Big Mom obviously is the friend captain to bypass the effects of resilience, and also the treasure map Big Mom as a sub is fantastic, because if you do get to the stage where your strength, dex, and quick orbs are counted as negative, you have Big Mom to just enable you to basically get around that, but using just her on turn 1 with your burst, and then you can use your Akainu to get some matching orbs as well, which is amazing. So this team overall is extremely solid, and I would suggest you guys, if you guys are having a little bit of trouble with Shanks, this is a pretty solid option to go for. But once again, as we said, having some sort of way to reduce your cooldowns for your top row as an optional ability is kind of useful, because remember, he does reduce your captain's specials by 2 turns. Also, a paralysis remover obviously is going to be useful as well, and a resilience remover, but if you have Big Mom, you're not really going to have to worry about that. Taking the time now to just go over the teams that I did suggest to you guys for this treasure map, we're going to go through Lucky Root. As we said before, he has a really high defensive statistic, as well as giving you G, block, and bomb orbs, so having a way to bypass the defensive shield either with fixed damage or using the Fortnite Inu to remove the defensive shield is going to be nice. And then you have the Rage Shiki to give you some more matching orbs. So the Lucky Root team I feel is extremely strong and should last for a reasonably long time. You've got Yasop as well, who I do believe that the Whitebeard team is going to be one of the best teams for it, because he does have that damage reduction, and if you do need to stall to get rid of that paralysis, then that is going to be a way to do it. Now obviously he does give you 3 turns of attack down, so the treasure map rare recruit Garnfor is going to be so good here. However, if you only have Garnfor and you don't have any other attack down reducer, then you might want to save him for some of the more difficult pieces of attack down content. You also have Log Ace, who can go ahead and change the empty orbs that Yasop gives you into matching, as well as reducing your health, enabling your Whitebeards to get to their max damage potential. Against the mini-boss Ace, you're going to have to deal with having a % damage reduction shield, which Raid Zora is going to be very nice for that, because he does remove 3 turns of that. Additionally, with Ace's Preemptive Strike, he makes red, green, blue, and tandem orbs count as negative, so Whitebeard Marker's special ability grants you a full board of recovery, Psi, and Int orbs, which will be counted as beneficial with their captain effect and their switch effect. So definitely having a friend Whitebeard Marker or your own Whitebeard Marker as a captain is going to enable you to deal lots and lots of damage against Ace, as well as having access to Raid Lucci, who doesn't really see much usage nowadays because of how hard he is to actually use, but this is one of the dungeons that you can actually go ahead and use him, and use him very, very effectively to get some serious damage against Ace. And in terms of the final boss stage, we're going to have Mihawk. Now with Mihawk, as we said earlier, Big Mom is like one of the best teams to run against this specific piece of content. Now you could use some different subunits, obviously these are just the ones that I would recommend, but you need some sort of way to reduce 1 turn of despair, and Smoothie does that. Reducing resilience on his revive is actually going to be quite key, unless if you have the rampage ability from Big Mom. However, because you do get despaired upon entering the fight, you're going to have to stall 3 turns in order to get her rampage effect, so you don't really want to be doing that. So having a way to remove resilience is going to be quite good here. Now also something else as well is the fact that he does reduce all your cooldowns, so having like Rare Recruit Perospero will be very, very nice here as well, to enable you to roll back your specials, and then you can use your specials to take down Mihawk. moving on to the final teams that we have here against Ben Backman. Now, Ben Backman is pretty freaking annoying. He has so many different things that you have to just worry about. He has the special bind and attack down on stage 6, and he also has the paralysis, and you cannot manipulate orbs on stage 7. So definitely the more optimal team in order to clear this effectively is double Garp. Now, unfortunately for us, Garp is not a very high point booster on our trusty character list. When this treasure map came out on Japan, Garp literally was like the highest point booster you could get, or equal highest point booster you could get. So he was definitely the best unit for that. Unfortunately for us, he's going to be a little bit less of a point booster, so the amount of points that you can get from running a double Garp team isn't going to be as high, I don't think, as what it can be as it was on Japan. But in terms of beating it effectively, that is the most optimal team for clearing it, using all 3 of the point boosters, the double Garp captains, and running Legend Brook as a sub to give you those matching orbs. Now, in terms of the Shanks Intrusion event, as we discussed, Big Mom is most likely going to be the most optimal team for that, utilizing all of the 3 point booster characters. And then for the last, I put Whitebeard there, but you could literally replace that with literally anyone that you want. You could run Shiki. That is quite a viable option to enable you to get a full board of similar orbs, which will further enable you to deal more damage against the Intrusion Shanks fight. So that is going to conclude this video, guys. I really hope you guys did enjoy this video, and if you guys did, make sure to go ahead and leave a like, because these types of videos do take an extremely long time to put together with researching and graphical editing and stuff like that. So hopefully you guys do go on to enjoy it. If you guys did enjoy it, make sure to leave a like, and if you want to stay up to date with all the content I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But other than that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.